We are live, guys. It's Raven, your GS, and welcome to the channel with brand new content. And if you're wondering, raw Raven, you was doing drawing, now you're doing comics. Well, technically, I started with comics, then he moved on to drawing, then he moved on to movies. So really, I should have started with comics, then start doing drawing. Then there's the whole cyber nerd aspect of life. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about my favorite comics. Not yours, not theirs, not the best, but what's for me. Now let me break it down to you how it's going to go down. A couple of questions to answer. There's a couple of recommendations from the fam, and then there is my favorite comics. Simple, right? Let's get down to it. And this week's questions come straight from Instagram. Shout out to everyone that follows me on Instagram, and if you haven't done so, by all means follow me and send me questions there. Now the first question is, who's your favorite artist and writer? When it comes to artists, I don't really have a favorite one, but I have noticed that I always tend to read the same artist for some reason, not by choice. So here's a couple of them: Cullen Bunn, Brian Azzarello, Dan Slott. I actually really like Dan Slott. He's a pretty cool guy as well. Shout out to Dan Slott. And I've just been told I actually have a picture with Dan Slott. So if the team can actually find it, that would be pretty cool.
In Mexico City, it was like 3 or 4 days of show, and the show would start at 10 in the morning and go to 8 at night. And I would never leave, and it was just his fault. I was just signing sometimes.
Oh, wow.
And people would be waiting. It would be a line all day from 10 to 8. And you could just see the line go around. And at one point I'd be like, okay, I'm going to take a bathroom break. And everyone in the line would be like, ah! And you get the guy in the front going, one more. And the guy behind him goes, 2 more, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10.
Now the next question is, Raven, have you thought of writing your own comic book? Now before I answer that, I have to get in touch with the legal team. Can I answer this?
You definitely can't.
Sorry guys, I can't answer it, sorry. I tried. On to the third question. What comic book would you turn into a live action? This is a spicy one. I like this question. You might be surprised where I'm gonna go with this. I would have picked Power Rangers, but not your typical Power Rangers. Not the kiddie stuff. I'm talking about HBO or Amazon, stick with me, Power Rangers. Let it sink in. You got it? You got it? Gritty, full of action, and deep level of concepts. And let's, of course, not forget the Zords, the fighting styles. It's endless, the possibilities where we can take Power Rangers. Now, on to the final question of the day. What is your favorite comic book of all time? Well, I'm not gonna give you my favorite one. I don't even think I have an all-time favorite one. And because today we're going to be talking about my favorite comic books, I'm going to give you one of my favorites. Injustice. I know, makes sense. I mean, the channel's called Daily Offender. I mean, what do you expect it's going to be? Sailor Moon? I mean, actually that's manga. Sorry. Chill out. Don't judge me. I've been reading both. Not Sailor Moon. I haven't been reading Sailor Moon. I've been reading manga. Now, this is one of my favorite parts of the video where I get to talk about the comics that the fam has sent me. Now, if there's a particular comic book you want me to plug into and bring it into the show, by all means, send them over. There is an address below somewhere, and then I'll see you back here with my thoughts. Now the first one, Batman Detective Comics 1000. Shout out to Harry. Harry's been sending me comics since 2008. I appreciate you, fam. I actually haven't tapped into this one, but I did read the Three Jokers. Is that what it's called? Three Jokers? There you go. Appreciate that. Thank you, Harry. And I'm pretty sure at some point I will do a little quick dive on this. Now the second one, listen, this one is spicy. And listen, let me tell you the sign. Yeah. So we was watching, what was we watching? Invincible. Thank you very much. So I was like, yo, I need to plug more into comics like Invincible. And what do you know? I get this down the post. And listen, this thing right here. You know I'm a daily offender, yeah? You know when I'm talking about daily offenders, about
Come on. Yeah? Daily offender. Crazy stand-up.
This is a pure daily offender comic. If you're into crud, you need to plug yourself into Irredeemable. It's a madness. There's a reason why it's called Irredeemable. I'm just gonna leave it there. Thank you guys. Now on to the main event, the main reason why you clicked on this video, in no particular order. Magneto. Again, it's quite obvious, I'm a daily offender, but there's a reason why Magneto is one of my favorite comics. Think of this comic book run as Logan the movie. Got it? It's gritty, it's awesome. It's the last days of Magneto, and the art is just beautiful. They don't hold back. And this is one of the things I love about Magneto. Magneto doesn't hold back, right? And I actually haven't read a lot of Magneto books, but when I picked this one up, Lord have mercy. Let me just show you one or two things about this comic book. Wow! I mean, look at this right here. I mean, it just, listen, Magneto is on fleek. No stopping that, man. Not only this is one of the last days of Magneto, but it's almost like a redemption to Magneto. Not that he needs it because he was always right. Not Charles Xavier. Magneto was always right. Like, it's a fact. And if you disagree with me, go ahead, write down below your reasons why you think Xavier was right and Magneto was wrong. Now, here's a little thing again. Cullen Bunn. Written by Cullen Bunn. Come on. I don't write these things, it just happens. The universe got me synced in with these writers, do you know what I mean? And another thing that's so interesting about this book is that the art is so completely different from what I'm used to. On to the next one, the New 52 Wonder Woman by Brian Azzarello. I mean, it has everything. And when I say everything, I'm talking about everything. From Family Feud, I'm talking about siblings, aunties, uncles, parents, the Amazonians, the humans. I mean, it's a madness. Now, one of my favorite things about this book is the journey Diana has to go through and endure through this whole family feud. And speaking of family, this whole thing starts with Zeus. I mean, if you're plugged into the gods, we all know that Zeus is always on crud. And it's always his fault for some shit to start. We get a deep dive into the ways of the gods, new characters, and most important of all, God of War. Yeah, God of War, not God of Love, like the other movie. Don't know why they did that.
You know, they could have flipped it and still did the God of War. They could have made it the God of War, but the reason she's better than all the other gods of war because she uses compassion, because she uses love as a weapon, but she still have to be the God of War. Like, they fucked that up bad, like really bad.
And that's that for Wonder Woman. Now, it wouldn't make sense for me to talk about comic books and not talk about Star Wars. Vader down. Now, what is there not to talk about this comic book? And one of the cool things about Star Wars comic books is that there are certain things they would never dare to show on the big screens. But you know what they can do? Put in the comic books. So after Luke blows up the Death Star, he has a one-on-one against his father, which he doesn't know is his father at the time. And not a lot of people know about Darth Vader, because if they did know, this wouldn't happen. It's just one of those things where you really have to enjoy the ride, like the in-between scenes that you never get on the big screens. You get to see Darth Vader blow people up, dive deeper into his relationships. I mean, Dr. Afra, did I pronounce it correctly? Maybe, I don't know. Guys, I speak like 3-4 languages, don't judge me. You get the usual team from episode 4, bounty hunters that we've never seen before. It's just one of those things that as a Star Wars fan, you really have to appreciate and enjoy the ride. Street Fighter, the Ultimate Edition. Now, if you're wondering, Raven, why is your page ripped? Lesson time. So you know, if you're like a nerd, and like you're like a deep nerd, there's certain things you don't do, right? Like, for example, your aunt comes around and you ask her to pass you the book, especially if she's an African aunt.
Hey, auntie.
Shout out to all the Africans out there, please. I do not want no trouble. I'm just stating a fact. So I'm like, aunt, can you pass me that book, please? And she's like, sure, nephew. between me and you guys, it was almost over for her. Like, really, like, fam. Not only did she just rip my book and casually just like, sorry nephew, bruv. Let me tell you how I got this book. Somewhere in the past, I'm in Belgium. Just casual holidays, Geek Sensei on his journey. Whatever I was doing at the time, I can't even remember. But what I do remember is one day going past a shop and be like, comic books. Let me go in. I get in there, you know, you pick up 1 or 2 books. And at the back, I see this white book, right? With this red stuff. Like, it was quite fast, so I couldn't tell what it was. I'm like, right, like, what is that? Go and get it. I'm like, right, it's Ryu. Pick up the thing. The art was a madness. Do you know what I mean? So at the point, like, I was a student at the time. I didn't have enough money. I was like, raw, I can either take these 5 books or I can take this one. Now, little did I know, this was the only edition in Europe. Now look at it. Makes me sick. Luckily, I have now found someone who can restore my book. So boys and girls, do not make the same mistake I did. For anyone to handle any of your comics, they need to hold a certificate. Now I'm gonna cheat a little bit, just a little bit, because this is a graphic novel, but it's from DC, and it was a recommendation from Troy Baker. And let me tell you something, he knew what he was talking about. And I'm talking about Why the Last Man. Now the thing about this book just blew my mind, because when I first picked up this book, we were living in a society where, let's say, rights wasn't a thing. Thankfully, it's 2021. We're getting just a little bit more rights, you know. We have black movement. Women are getting more rights, you know what I'm saying? Like, pay rise, get just a little bit more. Not that they're getting the same, but at that time, those things didn't exist. So when I pick up this book and I find all men, snapped, gone. And there's only one dude. And what's so deep about this story is that because of the society we live in, the world wasn't prepared for women to take over. Like, skill-wise, like anything that you can think of that only men do, women had to do. And Jesus Christ. It was nuts. It was mad. The book was just so ahead of its time. It's unbelievable. And the crazy thing is, I don't even know why people don't talk about it. Like, it's mad. People are too busy talking about Superman, Clark Kent. Yeah. Shut up, bro. This is the kind of stuff you need to pick up. Educate yourselves. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the world leaders. Do you know what I'm saying? Because like the level of balance was non-existent. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and just picking up this book and thinking about the era we were currently living at the time, bro, it was mad. Now, the interesting part of this as well is that there's one dude, bare women. See where I'm getting with this? Now you get a group of females who now trying to be dudes, and you've got those who are just like, I don't need to be a dude to do what I gotta do. Fam, it's a whole madness. It's a whole madness. Yeah? And I don't need you lot to jump in the comment section, start calling me A, B, and C. Listen, read the book. Don't blame me. I'm just a messenger. So yes, why and his monkey are the only males on Earth, and the twists and twists and twists and twists are endless. Once again, shout out to Troy Baker for the recommendation. Appreciate you, fam. Now on to my last and perhaps my most special comic book. You might be surprised. You might actually be surprised because I'm always talking shit about this guy. But to be honest, it's actually not my fault because writers have been doing such a terrible job with him. Apart from Zack Snyder, the GOAT.
Restore the Snyderverse.
You heard it here first. A moment of silence. Paying your respects. So, the death and return of Superman. Now, I have not read this book since I was a kid. And you may be wondering, Ra, how can it be your favorite book? Hold on, we're gonna get there. So remember at the beginning of this video when I was telling you I got into comics before start drawing? Well, this right here was my first comic book I've ever read. Now, I don't remember the beginning, right? I don't remember, like, but I do remember the peak scenes, the fight against, what's his name? Doomsday. See, that's how long I haven't read the book. It was such a shock seeing Superman die, but then the next best thing happened. John Irons, Superboy, Eradicator. My mind, I mean, I had never seen a black Superman before, and we're talking about 93, 94, might even be 92. Wait, could I read it 92? Yeah, I could read it 92. Those were the days where we didn't have iPads, we did have the Game Boy, you know, the brick one, but you had to share it amongst all the kids on the road because only one person had. But one thing I had for myself was comic books, right? And the way I would read these comic books most of the time, right, I would run away, is sit in the toilet. Now, if you're from the 90s, you all know about sitting in the toilet and reading your comic books. Now, reading this comic book put me into so many things. Black Superman, Superboy was like one of my favorite things simply because he was completely different, and I kind of could relate to the kid because that's who I was at the time. Like, my favorite NBA player at the time was like Dennis Rodman, and he dressed kind of like Superboy if you think about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, for a superhero to have that kind of manner was non-existent. So when Superboy came on the picture, I was like, I'm in. Ever since then, I really haven't been tapped into Superman. And of course, if you've been part of the channel, whether it's here or the Cyberners channel, you've heard me talk crap about Superman so many times until the Snyder cut came along and Man of Steel just took it away, and I fell in love with it. I mean, till this day, it's one of my favorite DC movies and the #1 Superman movie for me. So there you have it. These are my favorite comics. Do jump in the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts on my list. I will be reviewing some of these books. And of course, if you have a comic book you want me to review, you want me to tap into, send them over to me. The address is down below or on my about page. And it's a wrap. Thank you for locking in. I'll be seeing you guys next time. I'm Raven, your GS. Ciao for now.